Okay, and what we want to do in this video is continue on our look at the factors of production and their importance in the production process, producing the goods and services that you and I consume, the goods and services that you and I enjoy. And of course, there are 4 factors of production, but this one, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about labour, all right? And this is the kind of the human effort involved, okay? So labour is the human factor of production. It is the physical and mental contribution of the existing workforce to production. So there doesn't necessarily have to be anything physical produced, so something like software, but it's a mental production. So there's the physical and the mental, right? So what I want you to think is it's kind of the human effort that is involved in the production of goods and services. Try and keep that in mind, right? Now, forgive me, I am Irish and I am a rugby fan, so this actually may date me a little bit, but this is Jack McGrath, Irish international rugby player, and he works for the IRFU, the Irish Rugby Football Union. And labour is somebody that works for somebody else is one thing. And don't forget, the name of the payment received by the owner of each factor of production changes depending on the factor. Now, the reward to labour is the wage, right? So I own my own labour, I work for a school, the school pays me. Okay, because I own my own labour, I supply my labour to the school and the school pays me. So therefore, if I'm working for somebody else, I am receiving a wage. That is the name of the payment received by the owners of the factor of production, labour, which are the labourers. Okay, now, so the supply of labour in a country. So again, the quantity and quality of factors of production, Q squared cell, okay, the quantity and quality of capital enterprise, land and labour. So the amount of labour available in a country, which is the supply of labour, depends on a few things. The reason is because what we're saying here now is there are plenty of people that are able to work, but don't want to work. All right, they may be retired, it may be illegal for them because they're too young, they may be a stay-at-home parent, they may have won the lottery and just said, I'm not working anymore, all of these kind of things. So what actually can happen is that the amount of labour, the amount of workers that are willing and able to work can change depending on these 3 things. So we've got the wage rate, the population and income tax levels. Now, one thing that we will look at is how we measure the supply of labour in an economy. Okay, we measure it in terms of man hours, the amount of hours that are worked or available to be worked. So what we have is we have country A and country B. Now, country A only has 2 workers and country B has 3 workers. So I suppose the question is, which country has the greatest supply of labour? Well, knowing what we know now, we would have gone with country A. However, each worker here in country A works 50 hours a week, and each worker here in country B works 30 hours a week. So then the question becomes, well, again, which country has the greatest supply of labour? And the answer is country A, because there's 100 labour hours worked in country A, whereas in country B there's only 90. Okay, they have, and by the way, obviously this is production and greater production and stuff like this, but this could be the greater free time to the workers, and that has a benefit as well. All right, now this is incredibly important. Adam Smith, the father of modern economics in 1776, in his book An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, started to talk about the importance of living in a large economy because you have a degree of specialization. Now, specialization is simply just concentrating on one job, and the more, and I will repeat this again, of course, but the more you concentrate on that one job, the greater your skills become for that one job. Therefore, the better you can do that job, and as such, the more output you produce due to your specialization. So let's look at this argument, right? In a modern economy, the main feature of labour is its degree of specialization. Specialization means that each worker concentrates on one job, and in doing this, this worker develops his skills for this job and as such becomes more productive. With each worker engaging in specialization of a different job, each worker becomes more productive, and when each worker becomes more productive, more is produced. When more is produced, more can be consumed and the whole country becomes richer. It is this idea of specialization which would allow more to be produced. Not the only thing, and we're going to talk about capital in the next video. Next 2 videos we're going to devote to capital, but still it's very important. Now, none of this stuff you really need to know yet, but I don't think it's any harm to introduce you to these definitions so that you've heard of them before we get there. Now, unemployment in terms of labour, that's what most people are used to dealing with, and most people are comfortable in dealing with this idea of unemployment, right? So the state of being eligible for work actively looking for work, but without a job. Okay, so my dad doesn't have a job, but he's not unemployed because he's eligible for work. He's over the minimum age. He is without a job, but he's not looking for work because he's retired. You see, so the idea, he's not unemployed. So just because you don't have a job doesn't mean you're unemployed. Someone that is in full-time education is not unemployed, even though they may not have a job, because they're not actively looking for work. Okay? They're eligible for work, they don't have a job, but they're not actively looking for it. Now, there are benefits and costs, opportunity costs in terms of not getting employment and instead pursuing education, but that's not for this video now. So the unemployment rate is another definition I would like you to know, and word perfect. The number of unemployed workers expressed as a percentage of the total workforce. So what we're saying is not all adults above a certain age are in the workforce, and we can talk about the workforce another time, and we will when we come to unemployment, but not all adults are in the workforce. So if there's 100 people that are willing and able to work, that's the workforce in the country. Now, if 10 of those people don't have a job, that's an unemployment rate of 10%. So there's 90 people working and there's 10 people actively looking for a job that don't have one and are eligible for work. Well, then the unemployment rate is 10% in that economy. And the last thing I just want you to be aware of, most Western or modern economies, advanced economies, have some form of a welfare system, a payment, a safety net, if an individual loses their job, that they're not, cast out on the street. And what we call a lot of that is unemployment benefits. Payments usually made by the government to people who are unemployed and actively seeking employment. Okay, so don't forget that. Guys, I really hope this helped. Thank you so much for watching, and I very much look forward to seeing you in the next video.